Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
Why, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And this week, we are not talking about America because of St. Patrick's Day, my namesake. We have Donald Rance here, and we're talking about whiskey that is coming from Ireland and the craft work they do on there. So not everything we're talking about is craft whiskey today, but we know the people over there are putting in the hard time and work in their craft to make some of this lovely stuff. So everyone in the chat, thank you for stopping in. Donald, thank you so much for taking the time out of your week and your job to come and stop in here and talk some Irish whiskey with us. We really appreciate it and can't thank you enough for stopping in.
No, thank you for having me here.
Everyone in the chat, what are you guys having right now? I see Nathan, I see Icehouse, Renita's out there. Nice to see Rich in there again as well too. If I missed anyone above it, Travis, good to see you. Oscar, thank you everyone for stopping in, and I hope you at home are drinking some Irish whiskey as well. Now, what is everyone on the show here starting with? Because I'm gonna open up a Dingle batch 4 is where I'm gonna start my night with.
Open up the old Dingle.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm
Start
starting
someplace.
with the Distillery Safe.
Nice. That's actually my favorite of the Whiskey Maker series. So
It's extremely pleasant.
Oh,
yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yep.
Twins.
Cooper's Crows. Yep.
Yeah.
I really like the Distiller Safe. It's basically a lighter version of Green Spot, essentially. Really nice green apple flavors, just beautiful stuff. I'm going to start with where it all started for me, Bushmills 10. And most people that know me know that this was the first bottle of single malt I was gifted and kind of launched the whole focus on Irish whiskey and the love affair, really.
That's awesome. Yep. Mitch Weddle says hi. So does Ed saying hi to everyone, and to Donald as well too as they're going through there. And that was one of my first things. Like that was the one that kind of that started almost the whole love of whiskey, not just the love of Irish whiskey.
Yeah, pretty well. It was
Nice.
the first one I actually got flavors on, and I'll never forget. It was the distinct milk chocolate and honey note mid palate, and I was like, "Oh, for the love of God, it actually tastes like something, not just burning."
So how long did that bottle last? Was that a glass or a bottle that you cracked?
That was a bottle. This one here, I mean, sometimes I'll go to it quite frequently because I have such a soft spot for it. It's a very nostalgic whiskey for me. You know, you kind of always remember your first love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I almost always have one in the cabinet. It's just great stuff. And yeah, it's 40%. And I have, problems with, Bushmills core range all being at 40%. And the special stuff we don't get here on this side of the Atlantic at cask strength. But for what it is, I mean, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah.
I was going to say Bushmills finally put out some cast strength bottles last year, but
the Causeways series, they were pretty much Ireland only, and I've only seen them on 2 websites: Irish Malts and Celtic Whiskey Shop in Dublin.
So how hard is it for you to get that in Canada, given how controlled that is?
So I would have to have it delivered to a friend in the U.S. who would then bring it across the border because it's not getting into Canada. When you picture Canadian border services, drugs, guns, no problem. Alcohol, oh, now we have a problem because you didn't pay the tax man.
And the tax man is vicious on your side. I remember Brad was saying when he was bringing some stuff back, it's whether they want to tax you or not.
Yeah. Because sometimes if you're caught with more than your 1.15 liter allotment, then what they'll do is basically the tax would, come out to double or triple what you paid for it by the time they take all their money. And then it's like, no, forget it. Like,
does anyone ever pull that thing like that one lady did before she got on the plane where they weren't going to let her go through and she drank like an $80 bottle of brandy and just slammed it in front of them and went on the plane?
Oh wow. Damn.
I don't know if they'd let you get away with that.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things like, no, you can stay in America. Go back.
Yeah. That or I know if it were Air Canada, they would militantly ask you to leave the aircraft and then apologize with a letter after. So, yeah.
Well, what was it about Irish whiskey that made you kind of fall in love with it? What were there any notes that really stood out when you kind of had it?
I love finding actual fruit flavors in my whiskey. Mm-hmm. So like, especially tropical fruits and, your lighter stone fruits like peaches, apricots, nectarines. The single pot still style has a unique mouthfeel to it. It's just so rich and oily that I really enjoy. And I also enjoy the spice of it too. Mm-hmm. I love having, like pie spices in my whiskey practically, which is why I'm a big fan of, some of the newer Canadian ryes. It's the same reason. You get all of that full spice to balance out the sweetness.
Mm-hmm. I know it was kind of like when we were talking about your first love. I remember when I had Red Best 12 for the first time, and I got such a buttery cookie note besides everything else. I was like, okay, like you said, I'm like, I can click on what everyone else has been saying about, and is it a biscuit or a cookie? That's a whole different question. I'm not going to get into that. It's a cookie. I'm just saying it. It's not a biscuit.
Yeah. Cookie and biscuit. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Yeah. Everybody calls it the shortbread note, and that way you put that argument to bed.
That is true. Oh, yep. I didn't even start having this. Now, you were saying Bushmill. Do you have a favorite distillery? Because it sounded like Bushmills though was your favorite. You thought the line may have the 40% lets you down a titch. Do you have a line that you in particular like more than the rest of them?
Yeah, the Middletons. The Middletons. I mean, let's just be honest. You have to go to you have to swing big for the fences, and it's the Middletons. I love all the spots as well. I haven't tried Blue Spot yet. My bottle is still sitting in the U.S., so hopefully it'll get here soon, and then I can get to try it. If not, I mean, there are other ways of getting it. Yeah.
Takes a while.
I have a question since because I know up in Toronto there's at least one decent whiskey bar, but can they get anything different through LCBO than a consumer can?
That's a good question. I'm sure they can, because there's got to be programs for that. Because one of my favorite pubs in Toronto is called the Caledonian, and they have a huge list of whiskeys. Some of them quite rare, like we're talking Brora and Port Ellens. Mm-hmm. So how they got a hold of them, I don't know, but I mean, I would, it makes me want to open a pub just so I have access to them.
I didn't think of it that way, but that's a really good way to look at it.
If I were to win the lottery and I could afford to lose, $100,000 a year, then fine, I'll open a pub. I don't care about making money. Just give me the damn whiskey.
So what's your daily Irish?
Another Bushmills, actually. Funny enough, I really like Bushmills Black Bush for the just as a daily sipper. I really like the fact that it's majority of it is single malt with some grain, and from what I understand, it's a decent age, like 7 or 8 years, somewhere in there. And the sherry finishing too. I mean, or sherry aging, I should say. Just wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
I've actually got an antique bottle of it here from the 80s.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Is that an opened bottle or is that just
No, it's opened.
Okay.
I opened it the day I got it at the estate sale because dead people are great for whiskey shopping.
This is true.
Yeah. So, I mean,
You're technically not supposed to buy them from estate sales down here, but
yeah, you're technically not supposed
talk
to
about it.
either here. You just, if there's an LCBO agent watching, I did not purchase this. This was gifted.
Yeah.
yes.
You bought the iron at the estate sale and it just came in a box with some whiskey. That's just
Yeah, this one's a 1 liter at 43%, whereas the current one is at 40.
just because of the age difference. Is there a flavor difference between like the 80s and now that you can tell in that one?
So
or is
this
it
one
pretty
is
close?
it's pretty close, but there's definitely more richness in here. So I'm guessing they were using some of the older single malts. Because at that time in the 80s, there were only 2 Irish distillers left. It was Bushmills and the folks at Middleton.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they were using older stuff then too.
So for some people maybe here watching that don't know Irish whiskey history, why don't you hit us up, because Prohibition took as bad as it was here in the U.S., it was just horrible with Ireland.
It devastated the Irish whiskey industry. And, I mean, talk about a confluence of disaster. Civil War, trade embargo by the British, Prohibition, World War II. I mean, and then stupid policies on the Irish government to discourage export. I mean, how? Like, it's amazing that anybody survived.
So
and then not only that, the prominence of like blended Scotch as well at the time, because that's what people wanted, or blended Canadian whiskey, so you could look like Don Draper and be cool, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so all of these awful, horrible events going on that have just basically decimated Irish whiskey right down to the very bone, and they were hanging on for dear life. So when you hear people, talk about, there's so much 40% Irish whiskey, part of that was probably survival for them at the time. Like they had to maximize every barrel they could just to hang on,
right,
until they could survive, that huge downturn. And then now, I mean, you've got the boom. It's the fastest growing whiskey segment by a mile, which is a blessing and a curse because it's going to make it a lot harder for me to chase down bottles.
But yeah, when people hear talking about like the downturn, I can't. I mean, obviously the country is far smaller, but just imagine Kentucky going down to 2 distilleries. Just
exactly.
Even that, I'm like, that in of itself would be incredibly crushing.
Or imagine Scotland having 4 distilleries. Like,
yeah. One for each region. That's all you get.
Pretty well.
That would be insane. That would be insane.
And I mean, the creation of Irish distillers in the 1970s was basically a consolidation of several distillers. So, Jameson, Powers, all coming together to build the big facility down in Middleton, the new Middleton Distillery in 1976. And then now they're massive. They put out like 64 million liters a year of whiskey or something like that. It's just insane.
That's crazy. It's a massive amount.
I think they've got like 75,000 liter pot stills, like the biggest ones in the world. Can you imagine the amount just constantly being cranked out? Admittedly, most of that's going to probably go to make Jameson and other blends, but still.
Well, then look at think about the amount of mash that's being created for that as well.
Yep.
You're running stills that size.
Yep. And if you're a farmer in the area, you're praying, you have access to that to feed the pigs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
It's an endless supply.
Now off topic. Travis was saying here, if he remembers correctly, your favorite Irish whiskey is Tullamore XO.
Yeah. Travis is just an amazing human being. Thank you so much, Travis. I found it to be one of the most vile things I've ever had in my life. It was because Tullamore on its own is already quite sweet and friendly, and then you drown it in a Caribbean rum cask, and just God, it was sickeningly sweet. It was like a university party hangover, vomit in your mouth kind of thing going on. Just awful stuff. I did not like it at all. And another one I wasn't a fan of was the West Cork rum cask, because it was just weird and funky and not very good.
That's what I got, like a weird funk note, and it was like I didn't know if it was the rum they used, because some rums have like this heavy, thick funk note.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm like, man, was it a wet barrel? Did it still have a gallon in it? Like
I've also heard, people talk about, consistency issues at West Cork. I think, what brand was it? Gelston's was switching from West Cork to Great Northern because of consistency issues. So, and I've had maybe a couple of West Corks that I truly loved, and then I've had others where it was just like, no.
That's annoying when that happens. Can we have? Yeah. Oh, we'll deal with that. We're gonna have a review coming up where I'm on one side of the fence, and I think Mike and Ben are gonna be on the other side. So,
yeah, no, fair enough. It happens. I mean, I just, for me, I've had a few really, bad Irish whiskeys. Some of the budget blends that you have in the U.S. Oh my God, they should be banned outright.
You want to drop some names?
Name them.
There was one. What the hell was it? It was a Total Wine one that I had when I was in the U.S. one time. I don't even remember the name. I just remember the trauma. It was just like no. And then, okay, Proper 12. There's another abomination. So I've figured out the secret to Proper 12. Basically, you become an MMA fighter. You decide that you're going to become a really rude and obnoxious prick, punch old people, then decide to make your own whiskey, source it from Bushmills, and then royally bugger it up. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how he buggered up Bushmills stuff. Like, he had to really be trying, him and whoever he was working with.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones like we got it in a tote and we bottled it and we were happy. Would have been the way I went with it. I'm like, we're not going to do anything else.
Yeah, or filtered through my sweaty underwear after a fight, and I'm happy.
This may be how it happened, so we don't.
Yeah.
I wonder though how much of it was trying to make it so easily drinkable and approachable that you could just slam a shit ton of it, and because it's not expensive. I appreciate the money going to help responders.
Yeah.
I mean, I give them credit for that, but it's all everyone's like, oh, it's just so easy to drink. Well,
no, it's not.
It's not.
There's better stuff if that's the case.
If I mixed it with Coke or a Dr. Pepper, it's really it goes down nice at that point.
Yeah.
Or on its own, no.
No, it's like having gasoline.
It's
literally.
I don't know. I compare it's like bad to me. It's kind of like bad grain whiskey with a hint of some bourbon notes, and it almost tastes more bourbon than it does Irish to me a little bit. I don't know if it's the barrels they were using, but I'm not a fan at all.
It just tasted like regret to me.
Yeah,
regret that I bought the damn bottle. So.
Tim was saying mix it with ginger ale, and actually that doesn't sound like that bad of a decision with it.
Right.
That probably does. That's probably a good idea.
Oh, Redbreast. Oh, cool.
I'm moving through the lineup.
Yeah. How are you?
You know what? I'm going to go on to one of my favorite Irish green whiskeys, actually. So it's a new distillery down in Cork, County Cork, the Atlantic Distillery, and they make the brand Clonakilty. And I think this is what, 6th year? Yeah, around there, and finished in Bordeaux wine casks, and it is absolutely delicious.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
I've been seeing them, and that's one I'm really kind of hankering to get a hold of some bottles because they do some interesting finishing stuff too.
Yeah, and like I've compared it to the Hyde 1860, which is around the same age, same finishing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also a red wine single grain, and I have the Teeling buried in that mountain somewhere there. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the Teeling single grain, and consistently I pick the Clonakilty. It's my favorite. Yep.
Yeah, because that Teeling single grain is pretty nice on its own. So
it is absolutely.
Yeah. And Ben, you were doing a Teeling, and we're talking about
the Teeling single malt.
So I'm gonna go with an American version. This is Restless Spirits. This is their blended Irish and American whiskey. So
cool.
And it's not Teeling.
So really interesting. In Minnesota, the former master distiller at Middleton, Brian Nation, is now working for O'Shaughnessy Distillery, and apparently they are going to do Irish-style whiskeys there. They're doing a pot still. An American pot still like Telnua out in Colorado. I mean, I wish I could get some of that here because it sounds fantastic.
I'm always sorry, go ahead, Don.
I was just going to say it's going to be interesting to see how his product turns out in Minnesota when he's using a mash bill of malted and unmalted, and how the aging is going to come out. Will the warmer summers affect, how long it needs to be in the barrel, and what about all of those cold winters where basically cask interaction goes right down to a near zero.
And if I was saying, if they're using Minnesota oak, you might get a little more spice because of the tighter rings and stuff, something like that. Just a thought on that too. Yeah. But they could be using anything. Sorry, Donald, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah, no, and also like you have the guys down in Texas, Andalusia, doing like a triple distilled. That I've always been very curious about.
I've had it, and it puts me in mind of Irish whiskey. Even their and they have a peated version as well. That's it's lightly peated. I would call it lightly peated, but it puts me more in the mind almost of a Connemara or something in that line. It's definitely, to me, it tastes, the flavor profile is more Irish than anything else. But
Connemara,
good.
Now their cask strength has got to be the funkiest damn whiskey anybody puts out in the world. Like that's one that left me, like, I don't know if I like this or not. I'm just stunned at how weird it is.
I respect it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to respect the whiskey that makes you think of the Gulf War when all the oil wells were lit on fire.
Thinking, am I going to hurt myself by drinking this?
Yeah.
Well, I remember they had Turfmore come out a couple of years ago, but I couldn't find it, and I was like, "Is this going to be even punchier than the cask strength?"
Yeah, because they had a Turfmore at cask strength a number of years ago, and then they had one, I think, at 46% that was in the orange tube, if I remember correctly. And
it's neat when it takes a weird turn like that.
Yeah, it can be. So some nights it was fun, and other nights it was like, nope, I'm done. That's it. Like
it ruined the night.
It ruined the night, or other nights it made the night.
Right.
It was just like, yeah.
Definitely a mood whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to be, punched in the face, with burning plastic, then by all means.
Some of us like that.
Yeah.
It's just an every now and then thing. It's not an all the time thing.
No.
When I started out my thing, I really liked Redbreast more than a lot of other ones. Sorry, it's been a long day.
How much Irish
Bless
whiskey?
you, son.
Only 2 ounces so far, maybe more. I don't know. I'm not counting tonight. But as it's evolved, I originally was not a big fan of Green Spot comparatively. Now, I like the apple notes and stuff, but once I started having the Green Spot finished, that like set me off in like a whole different direction. And then it was weird because then I went backwards and I started to like the original Green Spot more after I had the finished stuff. It worked like just so weirdly on me like that.
Yeah, the first time I had Green Spot, when it became available, I bought the bottle, and 2 weeks later I had to go buy another one. So just couldn't put it down. It's still one of my go-tos. As to whether I prefer the Redbreast 12 over the Green Spot, it depends on my mood. Because some nights I want some of that sherry richness, and others I just want that surgically clean taste of the green apple, the spice, the little bit of like coconut you get from the ex-bourbon barrel, the light grassiness. Yeah,
I would say I'm kind of like you, Patrick, a little bit, because Green Spot wasn't necessarily my thing in Irish at first. But the further I've gotten along exploring, I've kind of come back around to it, and now it's one of my more consistent go-to. And and like you, I think you nailed it, Donald. Just how clean cut, the crisp apple, the grassy notes. There's a lot of little nuance to it, and I think that's what I'm starting to appreciate more about it. And I just think I find it fantastic now.
Yep.
So, do you have a favorite between the spots? Even though you haven't had blue yet, there's still a multitude of spots.
Oh yeah, there's one clear-cut favorite, and it's the Chateau Layville Barton Green Spot. Oh. It's actually one of my very favorite whiskeys ever. I just yeah.
And on that
finding
note,
it around here is pretty much impossible. But I've because of a nice tipster, I was able to find it overseas, and even buying it overseas and getting it shipped over here is cheaper than if I could get a bottle in the States.
Wow. I know Total Wine got a whole bunch of them because folks I know in Texas have bought quite a number of them, and I've converted a lot of fans to it.
Well, and on that note, I'm going to pour the rest of mine.
Yeah, it's a fantastic whiskey.
Hey, I was saving it. It was in the save pile.
Yeah.
I'll have that next.
Oh,
yeah.
The bready note on this with all the fruit.
So
just the Irish sugar cookie is what I get the first blast off of that.
So I used to get that, but then what was really weird about it was it made me think of my great grandmother's homemade custard when I put my nose to it. Custard with berries. And now I cannot think of anything else.
You may have just broke my nose because I'm like, my thing is I get berries more. Like I get in the right away, and it's like, oh my god, it's just this nice rich berry, like blackberry, raspberry.
Yeah,
just this nice flow to things, and then you're right. That cream is that's almost dead on.
A bowl of custard with berries. It just reminds me of her homemade custard so much.
I know you've mentioned this one, Donald, but I'm going into the John's Lane next. This is what sold me on Irish. I wasn't really convinced, honestly, until I had this, and it's still hands down. It's my favorite Irish to go.
Yeah, and that one, what I love about the John's Lane, it's like having buttered toast that's slathered in orange marmalade, and a bit of with a bit of cinnamon or whatever on it. Like it's just so good.
And you get that pot still oiliness, and you get that spice like we talked about, and that's just to me, it I don't know, it checks off all the boxes for me.
Yeah.
Flavor.
Oh yeah, me too. In fact, I think I will join. Well, maybe I'll have a discontinued powers actually.
Hold on here, and I missed something. There was someone in the chat I missed. and they had a question. They were talking about a different ours.
The 3 Swallow?
Oh,
Yeah, the 3 swallow. I'm like, I gotta
Okay.
go back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing catches up in chunks, so it doesn't give me just one. It gives me like 16, and I'm like,
Yeah. So basically, with the 3 Swallows, the signature here was the predecessor to the 3 Swallows. So this one was at 46, and then the 3 Swallows replaced it in the lineup at 43. And I still prefer the signature at 46.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
just buttergood cookies, man.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
It's so
like
good. No, it's
I got
it
lost.
is
in the
really
whiskey.
good.
Let's see.
I think-
Or
I think some of the stuff that we're tasting when what we found that we like in a lot of craft whiskey with the show is we like a pot still, like you're getting in a lot of Irish whiskeys, just that the extra mouth feel, the nice viscous oiliness that you don't get from other things.
Yep.
is really adds to it, and I think kind of fades off on some other whiskeys. I think I just love the still itself. I think if I were getting a distillery, there's
oh yeah. Hell yeah.
definitely one of those. If I can afford it, I'll buy one of Todd's 3 chamber stills, but that's probably not happening. Not going to be able to afford that.
Actually, I switch up my pour just to give a shout out to a category that doesn't get a lot of attention in Ireland or outside of Ireland, and Irish single malts. So this one is probably one of the most attractive labels.
Oh,
It's the
I like that.
Dunville's 12-year PX.
Let me make you big, Donald.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have to say that I have really come to enjoy this whiskey. I mean,
yes.
it has just got that beautiful PX finish on the end that kind of gives you like a sweet almond cake vibe going on when you're, on the back of your palate. And the nose is just all kinds of insane dry fruits. It's lovely. Lovely stuff.
And what distillery is making that one? So I don't know enough about that one.
So
my
that's Ecklandville Distillery in Northern Ireland.
bad. Okay.
And it's a revived brand. They also do the 3 Crowns peated, which really isn't peated. It's just finished in an ex-peated cask. And then they also do the 3 Crowns blend, and I think a couple of others that I haven't seen here yet. But as soon as I saw that one, I grabbed it.
So I've got a question for because obviously none of us know everything, but clearly you know more than we do. But the family tree of Irish distillers, can you tell people about that? Like how it's, because I know a lot of people still adhere to you're either Bushmills or Jameson. What's really
So
it's not
then
even really the case
basically,
anymore, but
so basically, you've got the Holy Trinity right now, where a lot of brands, got their start sourcing from. So Coolie, Bushmills, and then Middleton. Coolie, as you know, was owned by John Teeling, and then they sold it to Beam Suntory, and part of the deal they got to keep all those casks. So a lot of the Teeling single malts that we're tasting were actually from his time at Coolie. Now with Middleton, I mean, you've got the Spots, you've got Jameson, Redbreast, the actual Middleton products, Powers, and Paddy was also made at Middleton as well. And then Bushmills, I mean, some people source from Bushmills, but now you've got a whole bunch of other distilleries coming online, like you have Wesgore that's doing their own stuff. I think Walsh is going to be doing their own stuff soon, if they're not already doing it.
Okay.
And then you've got Great Northern, which is pretty much going to be the MGP of Ireland. They can do pot still, column still, double distillation, triple distillation, and that's the distillery that John Teeling now owns.
Ah, okay. That makes a little more sense now.
So they've got a bunch of these smaller brands in Ireland just starting up, sourcing from Great Northern now.
Mm-hmm.
and most of it's 5 years or under, I think. But I mean, as we go forward, I would love to see what they put out. I mean, I imagine it's going to be some damn good stuff because they're doing peated, unpeated, like you name it.
Well, that's kind of what I love about Irish whiskey is that people there are not afraid to try different stuff or something unique or an end barrel. Like when Dingo first started and they came up with their program, or you can get in, you can buy a barrel, we'll do whatever you want to it, and whenever you want it, you think it's done, we'll release it. You can have whatever you want of it, and they just being able to pick. I think it was just 4 different finishes. I'm like, if you had the money, at least it's fun to play with, and you can maybe alter it a bit. But it seems like people in Ireland are willing to try a lot of different things and just see how it comes out, especially with finishing.
See a comment there about Turkana. Where does that fit in? So that's made at Coolie. Mm-hmm. So Coolie owns, Coolie is owned by Beam Suntory, so that's where it's made, as well as Connemara. It's fantastic, the Turcanos. I have a few of them, and the 16-year ex-bourbon, the 15-year Madeira, and the 10-year Madeira are my 3 favorites. 15
Madeira sounds lovely.
It is.
I haven't met a Madeira I haven't liked, though.
Right.
Same here. Yeah, same here.
But, talking about a lot of the young startups and stuff, so what I find really interesting is in the midst of this kind of Irish whiskey revival, they're getting kind of a big craft scene, almost the way we've been having here in the U.S. for about the last 15 years or so. We're starting to see, who do you have your eye on, or who are you most interested in seeing come along?
Blackwater.
Blackwater?
Blackwater, hands down.
Yeah.
The work they're doing on their pot still with all the different grains,
yes,
so they could stick it to the stupid technical file is fantastic.
Yeah, I saw them. I've been following them for a while, and I watched them post some pictures of them mashing and distilling. I think it was like 100% Irish rye.
Yeah,
that just looked absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and they're doing 4 and 5 grain experiments and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, the technical file is it's a sore spot for me because it holds back innovation. If you look at the number of pot stills made in the past that wouldn't qualify as single pot stills today because of the 5% rule, I mean, it's incredible. Basically, nothing made before the current Middleton era would qualify. Like even the Napoke Castle 1951, a 37-year-old pot still would not qualify. Like, it's crazy.
That's crazy, yeah.
That is. Emily just saying she loves Madeira, Port, and Bordeaux. I agree.
Yeah. And the other thing too that really is interesting, like, have you guys had the Kilbeggan rye?
No,
I have not had that.
So that is really a pot still. It's not a rye. They had to call it a rye because they used 30% rye on top of a single pot still mash bill. So historically, a lot of Irish distillers apparently used up to 30% of other cereals in their whiskeys. So rye, wheat, and oats being I think the 3 dominant ones. So this 5% thing is just a recent thing, that really Middleton, because they were the only ones making the style, dictated to the Irish government.
That's sad. Sorry, I hate dictations like that. A couple of years ago, they tried to a place that was making brandy tried to influence the state so that craft distilleries would get a different type of tax, except for them. And I was like, oh, now I kind of hate you.
And that's like here with some of the big distillers in bourbon trying to push for regulations that you can only use 53-gallon barrels, which would really, would be a huge blow to a lot of the craft distillers that are using smaller barrels.
Yeah. How do you like that Wesgore?
I like it. It's now, this is one where I've had my bottle, which has been fine. I had somebody else's bottle, and it was not. and
I was not a fan of that one.
It's got it's sweet, but then it's just got this. There's a wet ash on the finish to it, but it's not a very heavy, and it's not one. It's not Connemara peated, so it's not going to ruin you for the night to have it. It's just kind of this nice little, little dryness along the sweet, and it's just kind of dirty.
Yeah, I mean, I was not a fan of that one. I just found it terribly unbalanced for me personally. Like, I much preferred the Bog Oak, which I have somewhere around here.
Yeah, that's the one I did have, and I did like that one.
Yeah, there it is.
Also, like stuff that's a little bit different. So.
Yeah, I love the fact that they take these, all this basically scrap wood that's out in a bog, and then make barrels and char the living hell out of them to make the whiskey. It's basically like having, grilled apples over charcoal. That's what it makes me think of.
That's awesome. Like, as soon as you sniffed the bottle, you could tell that's where you went back to for like a split second. You're like, yeah. That's the smell.
Yep. No, I really enjoy this one. I also enjoy their cask strength. And I think you're seeing it in the U.S. now labeled as barrel proof, because some people on Discord, a couple of the Discords I'm in, have posted pictures of the barrel proof. And it's like, oh, cool. That's a good one. 62%. And it was, what, $50 Canadian for me? I was like, hell yeah. I'll take that all day.
Yeah. There's a good question. Facebook, Mark S. Kelly. What is a good starter?
I mean, just as far as in the night, or as like in Irish
well,
in
I
general?
think I would take it as in getting into Irish. What would be a good starter?
Yeah.
Ouch, pop my knee.
I would probably say pick 3, because there's 3 distinct styles of Irish whiskey. So if you could go with either a Green Spot or a Redbreast 12, or even the Powers 3 Swallow, which I think is a bit cheaper than the other 2. Yeah. You've got your pot still covered. Teeling single grain, because it's everywhere. So you've got your grain whiskey covered. And the basic Tyrconnell single malt, you've got your single malt covered. And then take it from there, or even Bushmills 10. You've got all your bases covered there, and then you can find out what style you really like.
So I've got a related question to that. What would be your recommendation for a low, medium, and high for Irish? And even just an all-around Irish for somebody.
So the all-arounder right away, Powers John's Lane. That's going to be the all-arounder. Great value, dollar for dollar. One of the best whiskeys produced at Middleton. Fantastic. For a low dollar point, I would probably say for somebody, if you can get them in the U.S., the Jameson Crested. That's actually my favorite Jameson. I haven't been able to replace my bottle because it disappeared here for whatever reason. But that one and the Bushmills Blackbush, those two, both are kind of, the Blackbush is obviously more sherried, but the Jameson Crested has more pot still and some sherry finishing done to it, which is really nice and lovely. Medium, go with one of the wine finished spots, or one of the Tyrconnells. If you can get one of the Tyrconnell single malts, then do that. High end, it's always going to be either the Middleton Barry Crockett or the Middleton Dare Gaelic.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I got one of those sitting here. I'm gonna have. Says it's batch 1, tree number 7. So they get excited about tree numbers even.
So that's because the whole premise of it is they basically find these really old Irish oaks located in different. That's a Grinzel's Wood. That's from the first series.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. My bottle didn't make it that long.
This one doesn't leave the house. You have to come over here if you want to have it for obvious reasons.
And I mean, I have, up till now, my favorite from any series was the Bluebell Forest Tree 4, because that one was like having a really rich vanilla European Danish smothered in peaches. It was like cream cheese with vanilla bean and just, oh man, what a hitter.
Talking about wine finishes and stuff, the Teeling Brabazon. Do you have a favorite out of that series that they've done so far?
Yeah, actually, I have the number 2 here. I like the number 1 with all the different sherries, but the number 2, the port one, has really grown on me. At first, I opened it, I took a sip, and then I was like, oh no, hell no, put it back in the closet. So I came to it about 3 months later thinking, okay, it has to be better. I poured it, and then now it's like having one of those vanilla smoothies with strawberries and bananas in it. It's just absolutely lovely. Lovely, lovely stuff.
Yeah, that does teach people, if you're new to stuff, sometimes if you don't like something, I used to have a couple drinks of it and then let it sit for a few weeks or a few months and come back to it and see what happens. You'd be surprised how much stuff. I think the first time I had J. Henry and Sons, the very first 5 year, I was not a big fan. I came back to it 4 months later. I was like, wow, like that initial kind of heat and burn kind of almost faded away.
So
Emily had
you actually made my decision easier for what to pick. So
nice. It's in there. Emily had a question up here. It's also about Teeling. What are your thoughts on the Teeling Black Pits?
I haven't had it yet. I don't expect we're going to see it in Canada for a little while. That being said, I'll have to wait till my friend comes back from the U.S. because I'm going to do another order. So
we need the borders to open up. That's just all there is. They need to get past that and break that down so we can get back to doing stuff the way we used to.
Yeah. It's probably not going to happen for a while on this side of the border, but
you don't trust us, and probably rightfully so.
Oh boy!
I was just having the JJ Corey the Gale.
Oh, nice!
And I hadn't had that one before, so I'm actually going to pour a little bit more because that is really.
I'm mourning the loss of that bottle.
I think I wish I would have started with this because this seems a little bit lighter and daintier than some of the other stuff I was having. But that could just be me right now. Oh, plus it is really light and clear.
Yeah, that's Ardbeg light.
Yep.
Yep.
Mike, you got your mix bottle going or your mix glass?
I do, but I'm not putting everything in it. So we always end up putting a little bit of everything in it. But I'm no.
Just because of the last.
I'm not putting the green spot wine finishes in there, and I'm not sacrificing any of the Dare Gaelic into the dump glass.
No.
Yeah.
I thought you were just worried that what would happen when we blended last time. Last time we had 4 whiskeys, and they were okay to nice.
They were
on
4
their own.
Wisconsin whiskeys. That's the qualifier there.
Yeah, they were 4 Wisconsin whiskeys. But hey, they were both.
That's
they
the
were
Canada
all,
of the United States.
That's what I heard.
They were all fine the way they were. But as soon as we mixed up, some horrid reaction happened in the glass.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. We even caveated, do not work with each other. Don't.
Wow.
I have never. It was weird. I never had something turn that much because most of the time we'll do that and it's hey, that's pretty good. And I choked.
Something offended them because all the flavors shot clipped to the edge of the glass, they're all trying to get away from each other. It was bad.
All right, so I'm going with the Bushmills 21.
Ooh, nice.
One of my favorite noses on a whiskey.
But God, does it need more ABV or what?
Oh, if they crank that up just a little bit, it would be off the chart phenomenal.
Even the 16 would be off the chart phenomenal. It would just be so wonderful at 46, non-chill filter. Oh my God.
But talk about fruit. There's so much fruit going on in this.
Yeah, the sherry and Madeira together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just smelling like a strawberry banana smoothie now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could build your perfect Irish whiskey, what would your perfect Irish whiskey be?
It would be a single pot still. Probably would probably have more than the 5% of other grain in it. I'd love to see what oats would do. Just because Shed right now is putting out a single pot still called Drumshambo, and it's got 5% of Irish oats in there. I've not been able to try it, but I'm very curious to see what it does. And I think I'd like to do a historic pot still like that. Just play around with the percentage of the different grains and see what you can come up with.
Right now, I can just imagine because oats really amplify, or they really add to the mouthfeel. And so working that in a pot still with Irish, I could just see that being.
It would be like chewing on your whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a couple other ones where they added oats, and it just brings out a different type of nice grainy chewiness. Like you're saying, it's just a little bit different, and it adds like a richer feel to it. So yeah, I think that would be awesome. I'm always excited just about the berry flavors. I love berry flavors in general. So just getting the fruit notes that you get in a lot of Irish is kind of, I would lean that way. But of course, a lot of that is sometimes finishing and stuff. But it's just, the one thing about Irish is when I started, it's all, for the most part, it's a very rounded category.
Yep.
Like you have, and I'm gonna, fuck it, we're in here. Jameson original is too metallic. I fucking hate it. It's just the way that one starts. Tullamore I can stand. Still has that metallic note in it. I can get past it for $20. But I was gonna say, after you kind of get past a couple basics that sadly are probably going to be in most of your bars as kind of the base whiskey, you start to see just. I think there's a huge step from kind of that base to the next level that they have in Irish whiskey, where it just it jumps up in flavor quite a bit. And the two you guys had, the Distiller Safe and the Cooper's Crow, that brought me back to Jameson, because I was like, fuck Jameson.
Well, I just, what?
Except for the Crested, I had that, and that was good too. But that was the only thing I had that I was like, wow, someone knows what they're doing there. I felt like there was like this huge gap. I'm like, don't even make the original. I know why you do, but I was like, just stop.
Yeah, and I will say the 18 Bow Street is fantastic stuff. The Jameson. The regular 18, just take a hard pass on it.
You, Mike. just so everyone knows what that was about. So just I get past a lot of things for $20. Sure.
The Bow Street, isn't that a cast strength?
It is.
18-year-old? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've had that one on my shopping list for a while. I need to pull the trigger.
Hey. Sorry, my cat decided to make her presence known.
That's okay. She can get on the stream. We got nothing against that.
Yeah.
All right, now you guys were talking about it, so I'm going to switch over to that Grinzelwood one.
Oh, yeah.
If I can get this off.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Bugger it. Let's just go big and bold now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So since you're going big and bold, is this one of your favorite bottles that's exciting? I mean, or you don't share with anybody?
No, I'll share these.
Okay.
With a select group of people. I wouldn't just share it out at a party, where people are, belting it back. Because honestly, if they belted it back, I'd probably want to belt them.
Yes. That's the nervousness of it traveling is the reason it doesn't leave my house, and also because I know too many people with heavy hands when they pour, and this is not. So you're doing yourself a disservice by pouring too much of it. This is
the new Dergay, like the Knockrath Forest Edition.
I like that bottle.
So
nice.
Yeah,
and then I also have the Barry Crockett here.
Oh, and that one you said is like one of your favorite, like big time favorite.
This one is like getting lost in a pear and apple orchard when it's in full bloom. It is just so wonderful. It's a lot of. I know some people have said it's a bit delicate, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's just got this, it's like walking a tightrope in terms of its flavors. It is just that perfection of delicateness that you really have to really pay attention what you're drinking to get those flavors. But when you get them, boom, just wonderful. And then the other Middleton I've got right now is the 2020 Very Rare. Now, normally I won't tell you to run out and buy a 40% whiskey that'll cost you $200, but this is the last one that Brian Nation has done. So the next one that just came out will have Kevin O'Gorman's signature on it, because he used to be the master of maturation at Middleton, managing the wood program. So it's going to be interesting to see his take on it.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Mine was a ride I wasn't really ready for there.
It Grims's Wood's something else. It really is.
All the Dare Gaelics are something else. They're just beyond fantastic. I'm going to have some of my Tree 5 here, because why not?
That's exactly right. Sorry, I got. Wow. And it's subtle. Yeah, when you were mentioning subtle sometimes, I think that's another word a lot of people use to I would use to describe Irish whiskey more than others. Like, it's not often that you get stuff that's jumping in your face and kind of trying to choke you out or slap you around. It doesn't happen a whole lot.
Even if it does jump in your face, it's like being slapped with a padded velvet glove, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's just going to get your attention. That's it.
I'll take two more of those.
Again.
So you're in an unfortunate position in Canada that you're not going to get anything special, like you said, unless someone brings anything over. But is there any, we're lucky that, there's a lot of things we don't get, but there's things that we do. And we've got, in my area, we have in Kansas City, we have the oldest Irish run business outside of Ireland. And it's this great place, and they'll go over there and they'll pick up their own barrels of dingle and bring other stuff back, and it's really nice but you can't get that.
No. And you know what? I have been fortunate though, because the LCBO actually does a pretty good job of stocking Irish whiskeys, like really interesting ones. Sometimes the prices are stupid, but I also have to take into an account, for the shipping and then the time waiting and then all the other things, the risk of it being, taxed at the border. And so sometimes I just pay the price. Others, I'm just like, hell no, go get buggered. Like one whiskey, if you guys could get your hands on, if you see it, is the 17-year Irishman single cask. It's a cask strength 17-year-old single malt that's exclusively aged in first fill sherry. It is an absolute cracker.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. It would be my pick for Irish whiskey of the year last year, easily.
That was big. Name it again, just so people can hear it.
The Irishman 17-year single cask.
Beautiful. Hey, Irish whiskey. That's a big thing. Peter says there's some special bottles in Alberta. Anywhere anyone can get anything exciting, we're going to let people try to find it, try to do it. So
Alberta's got it probably the best in all of Canada for whiskey and alcohol, because they're not government run at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here in Ontario, we like to call the LCBO the KGBO. Yep.
I've heard very similar stories from everyone else there, so I completely agree with you. It's kind of ridiculous.
Sometimes when you walk in the store, you just want to click your heels and salute with jack boots.
Do they catch on to such a?
You know what? I've yet to do it, but maybe for April Fool's Day I'll do it. See what happens.
Right.
Just get a whole bunch of people to do it all across Ontario.
Yeah, that would be
The
great.
entire day.
Yeah.
Flash mob.
They should all ask for the same whiskey too, just to fuck with them, like people like Glenn's here that go in and ask everyone.
Yeah. We should all ask for Black Velvet or something really cheap like that.
Oh God.
For Canadian Mist. Or Hiram Walker's Special Old.
I haven't had the Hiram Walker Special Old, but the Mist and a couple other ones are good enough. Are good enough for me. So let's see here.
The Jack Ryan Beggar's Bush. You had that one?
I've had a sample of it. It's pretty decent.
Decent.
I wouldn't chase it for the price it's going for in some places. I mean, really, if you really want to find some amazing Irish single malts right now, the Turconnell range, and also Powers Court Distillery, they have a brand called Fercullen. And the interesting thing about Fercullen is that Noel Sweeney, the former master distiller at Coolie, is now working with his own product at the new Powers Court Distillery. So I have their 14-year-old, and it is absolutely fucking wonderful. Like, it is so good. And they have an 18-year-old single malt as well. And they also do a 10-year grain. And it also, they have like a basic blend as well. The blend is okay, but the single malt, holy moly, wonderful.
Now, Irish whiskey has a lot of different, and the same thing with the American stuff. Sometimes they're putting out a story that's exciting. Between all the distilleries, basically I should call them brands, does one of them have a story that you absolutely love? Like just a story that it might not even be real, because we've run into that ourselves. Some of the stories are truly stories.
You know, yeah, a lot of them in Ireland are truly stories, right? You know, some of the, you know, myths around John Jameson, you know, and the hawk and all that stuff. For me, it's actually the more nerdy stuff. So when I think about, you know, the Powers being the first, you know, place in Ireland to use motive power from a steam-powered engine just to make whiskey, or the first place in Ireland to have like an electric dynamo, or the fact that they were working in 24-hour shifts and all these things. I mean, I really nerd out on that stuff. I really love, you know, when innovation is driven by alcohol consumption and production.
That's a nice one. We changed the world. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah, and I mean, what I don't like, though, is on the flip side, you know, how the whole marketing campaigns, especially around Jameson, were kind of to mislead people to think all Irish whiskey tastes like Jameson. Jameson is Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's just
Yeah, I see Peter White's comment. Yeah, $275 at the KGBO. I'm not getting it from it, so don't worry.
I saw that we were looking down. I'm like, what is it? Is it one of the chat things here?
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
do you guys keep track in Canada of things that we can get down here that you can't?
I guess some people do. You know, if I were to make a list of all the stuff you guys can get in the U.S. that I can't get here, I'd need to like write a telephone book size book.
Yeah.
Like,
But I would give anything to have a place like the Caledonia that you guys have, where it's got a book. I mean, Aaron Bruner was going through it, and he's like paging, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh man, like I'm gonna need a drink just to find my next drink. You know,
Yeah, there's another good one called the Feathers, also here in Toronto, that's similar like that as well.
And then was right. Joy-driven innovation is the best kind of innovation.
Absolutely.
And that's where you get a lot of passion put into it as well, too. When you get that, there's people who really actually care about what's going on.
Yeah. I would say if anybody can find a bottle of that for Cullen at a decent price, give it a go.
Yeah,
because it's wonderful stuff.
And just so you know, Mike, I've already checked our usual spot for sourcing like that, and they don't have it.
I wonder, did I bring that one out of the cabinet? I just grabbed a whole bunch of the bottles from the cabinet. This isn't even all of them.
I'm trying to find. I like to find a decent source, preferably close to me. I know I could go to Chicago and get Method and Madness.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to go get a range of Method and Madness, but
they've just now got that at the Total Wine here, so I'm looking forward to starting to have that.
We can't get Total Wine, and
Yeah.
I looked when I was in St. Louis a couple weeks ago, and
Wheels said he just had a Method of Madness he was doing.
Wheels has everything.
Yeah, I don't know where you live, but wherever you live, man, wherever your local liquor store is like a god, and you should kiss his ass. Wheels.
I want to break it down for you. He's up around the Fort Mill area, which is a little south of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's got some ridiculous stores up around that area. It's insane. The stuff he shares. Yeah. So when I can get up there, because I am, all this COVID crap, get that through. I am dying to get up there and see Ollie and, check out their distillery up at Great Wagon Road and hit right in that area. So, but
I don't know. Now let's see here. Oh shit, we're already over an hour. I did not realize that. That's okay. Time spins by on that one, and that just happens. Okay, but this is just really. I'm gonna have a hard time getting away from this one. This Grinsel's wood one.
Oh
man, just the wood notes are so nice and sweet, and the brown sugar. There's a lot going on. I'm sorry most people can't get this, but
no, that one they don't make anymore.
Yeah. So
that one was their first Dare Gaelic series, and then they did the Bluebell Forest, and then their most recent one is the Knockruth Forest. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So ending the night on my blended glass here.
Yep.
So I've got Teeling single malt. I've got Jameson Cooper's Crows. I've got Powers John's Lane. I've got some Redbreast 12 Cask Strength. And I've got a little tiny pour of the Bushmills 21 going on in here.
That's going to be a fruit bomb.
It is absolutely fruit and chocolate. Oh my gosh, it is freaking amazing. It may be one of the best blends like this I've ever done in the history of doing this show with you guys.
I didn't put everything in it. I've got the Distiller Safe, Dingle 3, Dingle Batch 4, Wesgore Peated, Redbreast 12, Redbreast 12 Cask Strength.
And I have to lean. It's because that the like I was saying, the entirety of Irish is pretty well rounded. So when you're blending, you're not knocking off edges per se, like you're trying to with some other stuff. Going, how do I get rid of the back end of the barrel on this one? This is just, I like this. And I like this. And I like that.
Yeah. Or what you do is. Because I entered Jason's blending contest.
Okay.
And what I decided to do was I was like, okay, what whiskeys have similar flavor profiles and that will pair nicely so one will lift the other one?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up settling on a 4 whiskey blend that, he liked it. So, I mean... and it helps when you can add Middleton Barry Crockett to the blend. Cheese.
Do we get to know the 4, or is that secret because of what's going on?
Because it was for his blend again last year. It was the Middleton Barry Crockett Legacy, Glendalough 13 Mizunara Cask, Writer's Tears Cask Strength 2018, and Powers John's Lane.
Okay. I like where you went with that.
If you do it in equal measure and then let it sit a little bit, it works. Yeah, it just works. And I'm sure that Bushmills 21, if you were to pair it with a younger, spicier, higher ABV pot still, it would come out like a baked pie, nearly.
Yeah, I put the last sip I had of it with the Redbreast 12 cast strength to see what that would do with each other, and actually adds a little bit more tannins to it.
Yep.
A little bit more of the oak coming out, but then you get this undercurrent of the fruit that goes in with what the Redbreast typically brings, and that's pretty gorgeous as well. So
yeah, there are very few Irish whiskeys that you can truly blend together and really screw it up.
Yeah,
which is why it brings me back to Conor McGregor. Congratulations, you're the first person to do it.
He's the best.
He's the best.
Screwing it up.
Yep.
Oh man, that's just disappointing because like you have all these people around you, right? Are they all yes men? Like we're around Tyson. There's got to be someone like if I was if Mike was a boxer and all of a sudden an MMA fighter's like, we're getting into whiskey. Can you try this and tell me what you think? That's not good. Would be you can't put this out with your name on it. If I was his friend, I would not let him do it. So who are his friends that were like, this is fucking okay?
But does Conor McGregor come across as the kind of guy you say no to? You're pretty much going to get a fist in the face.
He's going to punch me in the face either way.
Yeah.
Is the way I'm looking at it.
Especially if you're a gray-haired senior citizen.
Yeah, just sitting at a bar minding your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Giving your honest
screw
opinion.
that guy.
Yeah, or giving them your honest opinion. So how do you like my whiskey?
It's not very good.
Yeah, or as the Irish would say, it's total shite. And then,
you know,
right?
If I were that old guy and I could have that to do all over again, it's like, okay, I'm getting punched in the face. At least I'm just going to throw this back in your face. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it burns your eyes like it burned my tongue.
Yeah.
I you know what I did? I put it in a spray ball and I use it like mace now. Just
You probably could just hold the bottle up and everyone would be like, no, stop.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. So there goes getting him on for our special edition series. So
well, he's been bought out now. So he's
already
no longer involved. He's been bought out.
Yeah.
God, he's done cashed in. That son of a gun.
They bought him out. So
just on the same path, who and why would you do that?
The parent company of Bushmills bought him out, and I guess to get rid of him, number one, because why would you want him around? The guy's like walking time bomb, and number two, that stuff actually sells like crazy.
It does.
So they've got a cash cow there,
I guess.
and hopefully, out of the picture, maybe they can fix it.
That was what I was going for. Is like maybe they want to be like, we're gonna take this back. I'm just gonna torque it just enough.
Or take a wrecking ball to it. And start again.
Maybe one of those ones you go back. Remember Proper 12, around circa 2020, and then you taste it 2027, and it is just
nothing
two dramatically different beasts at that point.
Yep.
I should be laughing, but yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that or it'll become an allocated item in 2027 when the Irish whiskey is super popular, and
let's hope not.
I hope not either.
So, but Donald, thank you so much for stopping in with us tonight. We can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day and your life, because we know your normal job is very important, and we really appreciate that tremendously. We can't say enough for what you do in general for everyone and for Toronto and the people you work with. Let's be honest. Thank you very much for that.
No, thank you. And it was great fun being here. I really enjoyed it.
We appreciate it. Now, for what's coming up next Monday, we have Kelly, right? From
Yes, we do.
Hatfield Distillery. You guys know more. Hartfield. This is
Distillery.
There's too many different distilleries we're looking into. That's my damn problem.
Yep.
Way too many. Kelly
This one's
is
special.
She is, and she is doing some interesting stuff. We have 3 or 4 other things we got from her. We do have the one that we started with. I don't want to let people on too much. There's only, there's 20, 30 of you watching right now. That's okay. The first one we're going to review coming up with that, she has a 6-month-old whiskey that's not bad. It's actually pretty good. And that is ridiculous.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking for even more and exciting stuff off of that, because that is something we're getting into, because there's a couple other distilleries that we're doing early releases at 3 months, and we want to see how they progress over time as they get to be an older distillery and they're able to release them. So at 6 months, this is a really exciting whiskey.
Cool.
I think a lot of people would be miscued into the 2 to 3 / maybe even 4 range on what they're getting if it was a blind. And I think that's going to be really neat with some of the other stuff and neat things she's doing there. So stop out next Monday for that. That'll be fun. I think after that we have Scott Blackwell from Highwire is going to be coming on the weekend, the Monday after that.
Yeah.
From 100%, right?
And
I don't know.
And we have giveaways coming up.
Oh, we do have giveaways.
Cool.
Along with Cocktails with Heather on the 26th.
Cocktails with Heather on March 26th. We're going to be doing that. It's a Friday night. Starts at 7, not our 8, because we're going to be drinking drinks and cocktails, and it's going to go long. We do have 2 or 3 drinks. We'll put in a link to the chat that we're going to be drinking that night. It just in case you didn't get them, maybe you can find some whiskey or some stuff you have around to make what you want. Or something similar that we're going with that night. So stop in for that. That one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be nervous. If we make it to 9, 10 o'clock, I'm going to be pretty tore up. Heather's already excited. I asked her, when should we start the stream?
Hey.
Heather was like, fuck it, let's start at noon. And I was like, I got to work.
Yeah.
I don't get out till 5. We got to, you got to wait a bit.
Yeah. Heather knows her cocktails. Heather blends a good whiskey, and she's a damn good life coach. So even if you're not going to drink anything, tune in for Heather talking about life and being happy, because it's amazing.
Yeah. Cool.
So like we were saying, thank you everyone in the chat. We love you for stopping in. We appreciate you sticking around with us this long. When we get done, hop over to Whiskey Crusaders, stop in and see them. Donald, thank you so much for hanging out for Irish Whiskey.
Thank you, guys.
We could go a lot longer, but I'm going to be pretty torn. I only had like 5 or 6 samples here. So that's why I was like, I can go get another bottle. I was like, no, you should just fucking hold up.
Hey, Patty, don't forget the special giveaway we're going to be doing.
Oh, that's right. You got some old
early
samples.
1970s Old Crow. Mike dated this. Oldest, I think, is about 72.
72.
What the tax stamp put it at. So we've got some Old Crow. We're going to be giving away a couple of these little mini bottles, and then you can sample them with us on the stream.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah,
and we got some stuff from our friends the Gingers in Denison, Texas.
That's another thing that might be that's another thing we got coming up that someone might win or get a hold of at some point here. So stop in. We got more exciting stuff over the next week or so. We're going to be giving away things so that you can taste stuff with us. Hell, just have a good time. Yep. Thanks for stopping in, and thank you, Donald, for hanging out with us. It was fantastic having you on.
Yep, it was great fun.
And if you ever want to come back and talk Irish whiskey or any whiskey, we would love to have you back on and talk about anything. Wealth of knowledge inside your head that not everyone else has. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, everyone. You have a good night. Remember, It's not the size of the den, it's the love of whiskey, which is obviously me, because I have like 6 glasses and they're all empty. I don't know what the hell is going on. Cheers, everyone.
Get out of here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.